Hello, my name is Aliyah, and I am in the New York City metropolitan area. I work in social services, and I connected with Prepare to be Pursued over this summer. I joined the program because I was always having lack of success in getting people that I've met to have more deep connection. And I figured I could use some guidance on learning how to be more successful in that area. And I thought, I guess I, on a certain level, humbled myself a bit to accept some guidance and instruction and education from someone like beyond friends or family, from a place of like a knowledge base beyond their own experiences. I started with the Make Room for Boaz challenge, and just last week completed the final module for Prepare to be Pursued. And in my journey, I'm at the emotional authority stage. Someone's gonna teach me, how to date, and I'll be out here dating over this summer. And that did not happen, and of my own choice, right? I guess I certainly could have, but that just was a very different experience than once I actually connected with the program of how it goes, or how it's structured, I should say. Working with this program, I have accomplished some real self-development. I didn't anticipate the level of self-exploration that was going to be part of the program, and I really appreciate the education and the fact that self-exploration really is important in reference to a relationship, the success potential of a relationship. Prepare to be Pursued really turns the lens out. Initially the lens is outward. You're out there, you're looking for a man, right? I'll speak for myself. I'm out there looking for a man. And it forced me to turn the lens inward. And initially I think I resented that, but then I think, as Nikki explains, I saw the value in it. And I saw on a certain level why so many previous attempts hadn't been successful. Men are great. Men are fabulous. But if you can't answer the question, what you gonna do with them when you get them, that's the problem. And I realized that was a question I couldn't answer. All right, girl, so you got a man. Now what? And that's what the program is gonna help you to define and decide for yourself what matters. It feels for me like a real accomplishment, and knowing that even though no man has materialized since working with the program, now this more so feels like it's so crazy. I went from being like, I want to meet him right now, where he at, I want to meet him right now, to okay, I'm not even ready for him, please don't bring him around yet, like let me get some things together and then bring him around. So my prayer life has really changed in working with the program, and it feels good. It definitely feels like even though I have stopped in my, the top thing on the list is not like get this relationship. I know that everything I'm doing is getting me closer to that relationship. So so that's to me the accomplishment thus far of that, achieving an understanding maybe of the process a little better. And so I would say that self-development is definitely a source of pride for me, and working with Prepare to be Pursued. Yeah, the idea of committing to me, committing to developing the best Aliyah I can, and recognizing that I am in a better place than when I initially started, and there's more work that I want to do, and continuing to do that work. I think those are things I may not have recognized without this program, or even if I had recognized them, that I would not have made the level of progress that I've made. I've worked in therapy, psychotherapy, for years, and made progress there as well. But there was a component to Prepare to be Pursued that I feel like got me over the hump on a certain level. Therapy, you do a lot of talking. And depending on the therapist you're working with, they may give you homework. But the homework connected with Prepare to be Pursued, was very consistent, which I think was very helpful. That there was just a regular requirement for me to sit down and formalize my thoughts and organize my thoughts in a way that I previously just hadn't. And I think that was also really beneficial for me. I'm excited about when it feels, or when I feel more clear, when I feel more able to spell out what it is that works for me or does not. I've come into contact with 3 components of the program. That would be the modules, coaching sessions, and Q&A. And for me, modules I found really helpful. It reminded me of being in college. You know, there's a lecture, there are slides that accompany the lecture, and I take notes based on what's being said and what the written information is in front of me. It's a very, my brain, the way my brain learns, that was for me a great way to deliver the material. The Q&As I felt were really great for community and camaraderie. Our women all dealing with things, but sometimes we don't always feel like other women. Most of my very close friends are married. Women I've been friends with since like high school days and all that, they're married women. And so, like for long periods, I would say the shortest one is still over a decade. Memories or references to single life, they really gotta, think about it if I wanted to talk to them. They listen, and they have my best interest in mind, and I love them for that. But they just don't have much, to share in reference to day-to-day experiences. Regarding the coaching, I would say the coaching's been really great. I have one additional session with my coach next month. What was a real great experience with the 2 that I've had thus far is that in the first, I shared some information and challenges and things that were kind of like really keeping me stuck. And we came to session 2, I talked about working on totally different challenges. And my coach Kaima was like, well, what about XYZ? You said XYZ the last time we spoke. And I'm like, yeah. But I'm working on this one. And she's just like, okay, there's nothing wrong with working on that area, but you may want to consider the fact that when we initially discussed this was what you said was the priority. And I think that for me, that was such an eye-opening moment, because sometimes let myself get overwhelmed. I'll recognize so many different components of it, concern, and I'll start on one, and then I'll say, okay, and then this one, it has to be addressed as well, and then okay, this one also has to be addressed, and then okay, and because I've spent 5 minutes with 20 different things, I haven't accomplished much. But had I spent an hour on one thing, I'd have made some progress. So I appreciated her kind of redirecting me and reminding me where I was initially wanting to focus. And I loved also that she said, at the end of the day, the decision is yours, right? It wasn't like, well, you need to go back and do this, right? She just kind of reminded me, here were the words you said, right? And it's great because I may not have recognized that on my own. And what she said, I then, said, oh, right. And so I did decide to go back to that original concern from the first meeting, and working on that area actually feels very much like I've made quite a bit of progress in an area that really was holding me back, and certainly with dating, but I think with just stuff, with life in general. I wasn't presenting the best Aliyah because of this concern. And yeah, I appreciate Kaima for just, kind of just tapping me lightly on the shoulder, like, oh, don't forget you said that, Definitely a great experience with that. One thing that I think might be helpful for people to understand is just how self-led and self-driven the program is. Nikki has put this material together, but it becomes your responsibility to access it, to engage with it. And it can be really simple to take your foot off the gas and lose your momentum. And I encourage women that are considering it to be honest with themselves about their commitment level, so that they can really see it through, so that they get the most out of the program. But I think that that's a helpful, piece of information to bear in mind. The Q&As do happen in like a group setting involving others, but that's, it's voluntary, right? You don't have to go to the Q&As, and that's not really like the actual where the material is shared initially. It's an opportunity to revisit it and inquire about it and get clarification. But really working with the modules, and obviously the one-on-one coaching sessions is very independently achieved, and that's something that women should be aware of and commit to and understand that they're committing to. So for women that, maybe are considering it, I would say go ahead, give it a shot. One of the most exciting things about working in this program has been clearing up some very common misconceptions that really come into play on a regular basis when attempting to interact with men, or clarifying these misunderstandings about what men's motivations are, what their desires are, like how their brains work, how they tick. It's very interesting that even with male friends or male family members, you ask these romantic, puzzling questions too. I don't think anyone was ever intentionally hiding information from me, but they never really spelled it out in a way that Nikki does throughout the program that is like, oh, for me, there were a lot of moments that just were revelations on a certain level. Like, I've been thinking this all along, and really it's the exact opposite. That to me, I definitely found really helpful, and hope that for ladies that are considering becoming Allure or elite ladies, something they would benefit from as well. Yeah, go ahead, ladies, do yourselves that favor. Be brave, be honest, and do something good for you. Definitely.